Dear students, welcome back to my channel. So in this class, let us discuss the final derivation of this chapter and also the final application, the third application of Gauss law, that is expression for electric intensity at a point due to an uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Okay, so it is also an important 5-mark derivation. So with this derivation, your first chapter will end. Okay, fine. See. So as the question itself indicates, we have to consider a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. It means, for example, let us consider a rectangular plane sheet like this, because it is impossible to take an infinite plane sheet anyhow. Okay, see. For example, positive charges are uniformly distributed on its surface like this. You can also consider the negative charges. Okay, here I will take positive charges, P positive. Okay, fine. See, we know that the direction of electric field due to positive charge will be outwards. Okay, therefore, the direction of electric field will be outwards like this. Similarly, a sheet means just like this. If you consider this as a sheet, so we have sprinkled some positive charges on it, so which is uniformly arranged, which are uniformly arranged. So due to this positive charge, here also we can consider positive charges, here also we can consider positive charges. So the direction of electric field will be outwards from this point, similarly outwards from this surface, isn't it? So it is having two surfaces. Since it is a thin surface, we neglect this surface. Okay, anyhow, the direction of field will be outwards from right side, outwards from left side. Okay, fine. See, similarly, the direction of electric field is outwards here also. Okay. Now, so what does the first rule of Gauss law says? I mean, in order to take the application of Gauss law, we have to follow 3 rules, isn't it? The first rule is what it says. Imagine a closed surface symmetrical to the charge distribution, isn't it? Here, we can consider 2 types of closed surfaces. That is option left to you. Here, I will take only some small portion of this uniformly charged thin sheet. Okay, therefore, if I take this type of, it is almost a circular one. Circular surface means we have to imagine a cylindrical Gaussian surface. That is a closed imaginary Gaussian cylinder. Okay, fine. Otherwise, if you take a small portion in the form of a rectangle means you can also consider one rectangular box. Okay, no matter, but one thing it has to follow, one rule it has to follow. It has to be symmetrical with the charge distribution. Since I am taking the charge distribution in this way, I have taken one hollow cylinder here, which acts as the Gaussian surface or simply Gaussian cylinder. So instead of this, you can also take one cuboid also, no problem. Okay, fine. See now, here we can expect 3 areas, 2 flat areas and 1 curved area. See, I will take this area vector like this, A1 vector. The area vector here is A2 vector because you know well about it, they are always perpendicular to the surface. Similarly, so this is A3 vector. Okay. Anyhow, we have followed the first rule of Gauss. That is, we have imagined one closed Gaussian surface symmetrical to the charge distribution. See, from this midpoint, both the flat areas are at the same distance, some smaller. Okay. Therefore, the magnitude of electric field at this point and at this point will be same, since E depends on the value of smaller. I'm taking the same distance. Okay, fine. Next, what is the second rule one should follow? That is, we have to calculate the total electrical flux through this entire Gaussian surface, isn't it? Okay. We know that the total electric flux through the entire Gaussian cylinder is, okay. Here let us consider three fluxes. One flux through A1, second flux through A2, and the third flux through A3. Therefore, it gives you phi is equal to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. Okay. What is the expansion form of phi 1 says? It is simply E A1 cos theta 1 plus, similarly phi 2 E A2 cos theta 2 plus phi 3 E A3 cos theta 3. Okay. What is the angle between E and A1 means theta 1. What is the value of theta 1 here? Take a look. Both E and A1 are along the same direction. Therefore, the angle between E and A1 is 0. For our convenience, let us make this A1 as simply A. If it is A, then it is also A. According to the property of a cylinder, uniform cylinder. See, both the flat surfaces are having same magnitude of area. Therefore, it is E A cos 0 plus. Similarly, angle between E and A2, again the 0, therefore E A cos 0 plus angle between E and A3. See, E is along this direction or along this direction, but A3 is upwards. Therefore, angle between them will become 90 degree. Therefore, it is cos 90 degree. Cos 90 is anyhow 0. Therefore, it is EA plus EA. EA plus EA to EA. So, this is the total electrical flux we have calculated, we have found, which is passing through the entire Gaussian cylinder. So, for my convenience, I will call this as equation number 1. Next, which is the third rule of Gauss? That is, we have to equate this total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface with the actual Gauss equation. That is, phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught, isn't it? Therefore, according to Gauss law, phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. That is, total electrical flux through any closed surface in free space is equal to 1 over absolute permittivity times the net charge enclosed by the surface, isn't it? See, this cylinder and this plane sheet all are in free space or vacuum. Okay, no need to tell that again. Okay, fine. Next, from equation 1 and 2. From equation 1 and 2. See, LHS are same, therefore we can equate the RHS. That is, 2EA is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. On rearranging the terms, what we get here is E is equal to Q divided by 2A epsilon naught. Isn't it? See, what is the value of Q divided by A? For this Q by A, what we can call charge per unit area of the conductor is said to be surface charge density. Therefore, E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So, this is because Q by A is equal to sigma. This is surface charge density. In that wire derivation, what we have got? Q divided by L is equal to lambda. That is linear. That was linear charge density. But here, charge per unit area of the conductor is said to be surface charge density. Okay. So this is the final expression for this electric intensity due to uniformly charged infinite plane sheet, that too by using Gauss law. Okay now? Okay. Finally, suppose if you want this expression in vector form, we can write this as E vector is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught into n cap. And I think you know the story of n cap. N cap is the unit vector in the direction of E vector. Otherwise, n cap is the unit vector which is perpendicular to this flat surface or normal to the flat surface, either A1 or A2. Okay now? So this is the expression for electric intensity. Let me explain you once again briefly. See, so this is one more 5-mark important question, which is the last derivation in this first chapter. Obtain an expression for electric intensity due to an uniformly charged infinite plane sheet using Gauss law. Here, whenever you find this by using Gauss law, you have to remember the 3 rules. Rule number 1, imagine a Gaussian surface, that is a closed surface, symmetrical to the charge distribution. So charges ಹೇಗೆ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತವೋ ಅದೇ ತರ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ಡ್ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Second one, calculate the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface. So ಎರಡನೇದಾಗಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮೂರನೇದು, we have to compare the first equation with the second equation, that is total electrical flux we have calculated with the actual Gauss expression, that is phi is equal to q divided by epsilon naught. Okay, fine. As the question itself indicates, we have considered one infinite plane sheet here which is uniformly charged with positive charges, that is it is a positively charged sheet. Okay, see, I have imagined one small portion here which is a circular one. Therefore, if I draw one boundary for that, we get a cylinder, hollow cylinder here. So instead of hollow cylinder, you can also take one rectangular box, otherwise cuboid you can take. Okay, for my convenience, I have took one cylinder, hollow cylinder. Okay, as you know well about a cylinder consists of 2 flat surfaces and 1 curved surface. I have called the area vectors for 2 flat surfaces as A1 and A2, and the area of this curved surface as A3. Okay, so both the flat areas or flat ends are at the same distance from this sheet or center of the sheet. Okay, fine. So by using this diagram, so let us follow the second rule. We have followed the first rule. Second rule says the total electrical flux through the entire Gaussian surface phi is equal to, we can expect the flux from this phi 1, from this phi 2, from this phi 3. We don't know whether the flux is coming or not. We are verifying. Okay, phi is equal to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3, and the expansion forms for those phi's are EA1 cos theta 1, EA2 cos theta 2, and EA3 cos theta 3, where theta 1 is the angle between E and A1. Take a look. E and A1 are along same direction, therefore 0 degree. Here also 0 degree, but here A3 is along this direction, AE is along this direction. So angle between them will become 90. So cos theta 3 becomes 90. Since both the flat surfaces are having same areas, I have called them as A1 is equal to A2 is equal to A. Therefore, it becomes EA cos 0 plus EA cos 0, EA plus EA, which is 2EA. So this is the second rule I have followed. And the third rule says, equate this total electrical flux with the actual Gauss equation, phi is equal to q divided by epsilon naught, isn't it? So just compare 1 and 2. What you get here is 2EA is equal to q divided by epsilon naught. On rearranging the terms, what you get here is q divided by 2A epsilon naught. But q divided by A, that is charge per unit length of the conductor, charge per unit area of the conductor, is said to be surface charge density sigma. So I have replaced q by A with the help of sigma, and this is the vector form of this electric intensity expression. Okay, fine. So anyhow, thanks for watching my videos. So far we have discussed about the first chapter, that is electric charges and fields. From next class onwards, let us discuss about your second important chapter, that is electric potential and capacitance. Please like this video, share it and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.